You want to raise the rigor level in your classroom, but first you have to raise the engagement level, because if your engagement level is too low, they'll never get to those rigorous, well-planned lessons that you have for them. So today we're talking about 2 ways to raise the engagement level in your classroom. Welcome to PBL Simplified for Teachers, where we simplify your PBL need-to-knows by simplifying the PBL process for your classroom. The 2 ways to increase engagement level for your learners is to increase voice and choice. And a lot of times they get bumped together because they rhyme. Say, oh, let's do voice and choice. But really they're 2 separate topics and 2 different ways to raise engagement level. If you want to look at how to increase the voice in your classroom, look in the description below. We'll have a link to another PBL Simplified video specifically on voice. This one's going to tackle choice. How do we give our learners more choice? There have been many studies done that show that humans just want to have choice. In fact, they showed that as you look down the highway and you see all these red lights, these tail lights that's backed up, we are more likely to go take that off-ramp. Even though we know it's going to take longer, we just like the choice. We don't have a choice of it being backed up, but we do have a choice to get off. And a lot of times people will take that. And our learners are no different. They're more engaged as they get more choices. And the more important the choice, the more engaged they are. So it's a little tricky because learners don't really know the choices that they want, right? The first thing they'll say is, well, I want to choose where I sit and I want to choose who's in my group. Great, but really deep down they know that they want a seating chart and they want you to pick their groups because they will be more effective. They just won't say that out loud most of the time. So where do we start with choice? Because you don't want to just open-endedly say, all right, I want you guys to pick something that you love and in 4 weeks present it. I sure hope it hits some standards. That doesn't work either because we're setting in these different parameters of school, which is okay, and within standards, which is okay. We know that parameters actually increase creativity. So it's not that kids are going to push back on the parameters that we give with choice. They're going to be excited that they have some choice. A lot of times in their lives, they don't have these opportunities to make choices. So where do we start? So start with a few controlled choice opportunities. Put some parameters on there. So you might say something like, hey, we're going to present your findings to a panel of community partners, and you get to choose how you're going to do that. You can use PowerPoint, you can use Prezi, you can use Trello, or you can use Wix. And you give them 4 options that they're pretty familiar with and let them pick one. That way they're not overwhelmed with all the choices. You're not overwhelmed with, they pick some obscure, maybe they pick SlideShare and you've never done SlideShare before, so you're not sure how to grade those things. It's okay to give them choices to pick from. They're still getting choice. You might say, we're going to look at pollution that comes from different businesses. I'd like you to pick which type of pollution you'd like to study. And then you give them a list of those different pollution aspects. That will come right out of your standards, right? So you still have these parameters that we're going to work within to give students choice. You might say, as we research this new topic, here are 4 sites that you can look at to go and gather information. Saying, hey kids, go to Google is not usually the best way to go. But giving them some choice and a place to go allows them some freedom of choice in some manner, and they like that. As you get into more advanced PBL environments, they might say, hey, here are the standards that we're addressing. How is your group going to show mastery of those standards? But again, that's probably a more advanced technique that you don't want to jump into if you're just starting. But the more you can give our learners choice, the more engaged they're going to be. And you want to do that in a healthy way because they're learning how to do that and we're learning how to do that too. The main point I want you to pull out of this one is that it's not a free-for-all with voice and choice. It's structured environments, it's structured baby steps to teach learners how to appropriately choose and use their voice. And you'll be learning along the way to find that sweet spot that works for them, but your engagement's going to go up as a whole as you walk down this path. I'll put another link to a blog post that talks about the different protocols, because a lot of those protocols are going to help with choice as well as voice. Our question for the day is, where have you intentionally put in voice or choice, and had it work well? Give us some of your suggestions. As we go to our outro, make sure you take a look at Attaboy online. Great band, great assembly, whether it's virtual or in person. Check them out to see how they could fit your school. They've got a super positive message. In the meantime, make sure that you go out and engage your learners, tackle boredom, and transform your classroom.